Assalamu alaikum, students. We are going to start the lecture 7 of the last leaf, and it is the second last lecture. And we are approaching the end. Let's start it. It's comparatively longer as compared to the previous lectures. She is very sick and weak, said Sue. We have observed that this story is not a mere narrative or narration, rather, our writer is using dialogues. So, Sue, who is John C's friend, she is telling us about John C's physical condition, and her statement tells us that she is physically weak. The word sick and weak, both of them emphasize not only her illness, that is pneumonia, but also her susceptibility, her vulnerability, and that these both words are preparing us to understand her mental state too. The sickness has put these strange ideas into her mind. Sue, now see, it is about her mental condition. Sue is connecting John C's irrational thinking, as we have learned in previous lectures, that she believes that she will die when the last leaf falls. And that irrational thinking has no connection to her illness. We know it, but John C is thinking like that. This shows that John C's thoughts are not logical, they are illogical, they are irrational, but they are a result of psychological weakness, not physical weakness. And that psychological weakness is caused by physical sickness. So physical sickness is connected to psychological weakness. So this highlights the theme of the mind-body connection, that when your body is weak, your mind can also start uh, thinking irrationally, or both have connection with each other. Then Mr. Berman, if you won't come, you won't. But I don't think you are very nice. Then she addresses Mr. Berman, and her tone becomes slightly firm and resigned. She tries to persuade Berman to come and help her, but the line also shows her frustration when he hesitates. It reflects her urgency and concern for John C. Then she says, but I don't think you are very nice. This line reveals Sue is in emotional pressure, and she is putting putting a mild accusation. She appeals to Berman's sense of kindness and humanity. She encourages him to come. It also serves as a turning point. This remark indirectly motivates Berman to act that and leads to his later sacrifice. He is going to sacrifice something. Just wait for that. This is like a woman, sign of exclamation. You can see shouted Berman. Berman again shows anger, and his reaction is loud and emotional, and you can see exclamation marks. Those exclamation marks show that this is like a woman is his strong feeling, and that exclamation reflects irritation and impatience. It suggests that Berman thinks Sue is being overly dramatic, right? She's dramatizing the situation. It also shows his rough and blunt personality. He responds like that. We have been observing it. We have observed it in the previous lecture too. Then he said, "Who said I will not come?" He immediately defends himself. And his rhetorical question shows that he never intended to refuse. From inner side, he was ready. He was ready to act. And basically, he has been misunderstood here previously. It reveals his hidden willingness to help. He wants to help. He does not want to stay back. I'll come with you. The short sentence we find, "Go, I come with you." It is a short sentence, direct in nature, and the shortness and directness of the sentence shows decisiveness and action. Berman quickly agrees to go. That highlights that he is ready to support Jauncey despite his earlier hesitation. In the beginning, he was hesitating, but now he is perfectly ready to help. "For half an hour, I have been trying to say that I will come." This line clarifies the misunderstanding. This line also suggests that communication failed earlier, and Berman feels slightly frustrated that his intentions were not recognized in the real sense, in the real meaning. He was misunderstood. That makes him frustrated, a little bit angry too. "God, this is not any place for someone so good as Jauncey to lie sick." Berman expresses his sympathy and moral concern for Jauncey. He calls Jauncey so good, and it shows his affection and respect for her. He is affectionate. He's showing affection for her. He's showing respect for her, while he's also criticizing the place. That criticism of the place emphasizes the harsh living conditions and his protective attitude. The conditions are very hard there. It is not easy for people to live there in the conditions in which they are living. And he is very protective in nature. He wants to protect other people. He wants to help other people. It is goodness of his heart that we are observing here. "Someday I shall paint my masterpiece, and we shall all go away from here." God, yes. So now he is again talking about his dream. It's long-held dream. And what is it? Creating a masterpiece. That creating a masterpiece is the central phrase of the story. Master phrase of the story. It also shows hope for a better future. He is not hopeless. He's not losing hope. And not just for himself, but for all of them. Is saying that we all go from here. It indicates his sense of belonging and care. He's not selfish, he's selfless. When he says God, yes, the repetition of God emphasizes strong emotion and determination from Berman's side. It also suggests a moment of resolve. It foreshadows his later heroic act of painting the last leaf, his masterpiece, the great work of his life. Then let's move to the next part. Jauncey was sleeping when they went up. Now the room is changed, and now they are in Jauncey's room. We see here that Johnsy is fragile and passive. She's weak. She is asleep, and her sleep is suggesting her physical weakness, but also gives Sue and Berman an opportunity to act without disturbing her. They can do without disturbing her. She'll not be disturbed by their action, what they want to do. So uh, Sue covered the window and took Berman into the other room. What Sue does, she hides the view of the ivy vine from Johnsy. And that action shows her protective nature. She wants to protect her. She wants her not to see that tree or the leaves, as she wants to prevent Johnsy from seeing the falling leaves, and she wants that she should not lose hope because she has connected herself to falling leaves. She has connected her life to falling leaves. Sue covered the window. Sue hides the view of ivy. We have done this. Then where we are. Yes, and took Berman into the other room. Sue separates Berman from Johnsy. They move to other room. That indicates secrecy and planning. It also suggests that something important is about to happen. It's foreshadowing. There they looked out the window fearfully at the tree. Both characters share anxiety and concern. The word fearfully is highlighting the seriousness of the situation, as the falling leaves symbolize Johnson's approaching death in her mind. They are very concerned about it. Then they looked at each other for a moment without speaking. They are silent. They are looking at each other without saying anything. So that silence is very powerful. The silence shows mutual understanding without words. Both of them realize what must be done, what they should do. So it reflects tension, emotion, and unspoken decision making. They have decided what they have to do. A cold rain was falling with a little snow in too. Now the weather is becoming harsher. This harsh weather is creating a gloomy and dangerous atmosphere. There is a symbolism. That symbolism represents death, struggle, and the difficulty of survival. And it also foreshadows Berman's sacrifice. That is the most important, painful thing that is going to come in future. In next lecture, we are going to see that. Let's move further. Berman sat down and Sue began to paint. He has offered himself for to be painted, right? And then if you see, Berman sat down and Sue began to paint. On the surface, it seems ordinary that someone is sitting and the other one is painting or making his portrait, but it is deeply symbolic. While Sue continues her work, Berman is preparing for his ultimate act. Sue even doesn't know what he's thinking about. This calm moment contrasts with the life-changing event that is about to occur. There is a contrast again, and painful contrast we are going to view. She worked through most of the night. In the morning, after an hour's sleep, she went to Johnson's bedside. Uh, Sue removes the cover, allowing Jansi to basically what she does does the work the whole night, and then she sleeps a little, and then she goes to Johnson's bedside. Johnsy was wide open eyes with looking toward the window. Again, she's doing the same thing. Johnsy is not asleep. She has taken rest. I want to see, she told Sue, and she shows her willingness that she wants to see the tree again, that they wanted to protect it. She took the cover from Sue, took the cover from the window. So Sue follows her command. Sue removes the cover. She allows Johnsy to see the ivy vine again. This moment builds suspense as both the characters and the reader expect the last leaf to have fallen. But after the beating rain and the wild wind that had not stopped through the whole night, there still was one leaf to be seen against the wall. Now drama starts. The harsh weather is emphasizing how unlikely it is for any leaf to survive. It is not possible that leaf can survive. The fact that one leaf still remains creates a sense of surprise and wonder. How is it possible? It hints at something extraordinary. Something extraordinary has been done. And what is that extraordinary? We will find the answer at the end of the story. It was the last on the tree. The line highlights finality and isolation. The single leaf becomes a powerful symbol of life, hope, and survival. That is very important. It was still dark green near the branch. How is it possible? The green color is symbolizing life and strength. Despite the storm, the leaf appears alive and firmly attached. That suggests resilience. That represents resilience. But at the edges, it was turning yellow with age. The yellowing edges indicate decay and approaching death. This contrast between green and yellow is reflecting the tension between life and death. Then there it was, hanging from a branch nearly 20 feet above the ground. Look at the height. This height is emphasizing danger and fragility. The leaf's position makes the survival seem even more miraculous. It is miracle, and it increases its symbolic importance. Its importance increases. All right. Now let's move further. It is the last one, said Johnsy. Now, Johnsy recognizes the final leaf. That reinforces her fixation, her focus, her concern. The statement also reflects her continued connection between the leaf and her own life. Then she said, I thought it would surely fall down during the night. I heard the wind. Her expectation of the leaf's fall shows her hopeless mindset. The mention of the wind highlights how certain she was that both the leaf and her life would end. It will fall today and I shall die at the same time. Now, this line is revealing her deep pessimism and belief in the symbolic connection. It shows how strongly her mental state is tied to the leaf. That emphasizes the theme of psychological influence on physical health. If you are psychologically strong, you can be physically strong. But if it is opposite to that, you can face the opposite case. All right. Dear Johnsy, said Sue. Sue calls Johnsy lovingly, and the repetition of dear is showing strong affection and urgency. She is worried. She's trying to emotionally reach her friend. Think of me. If you won't think of yourself, what would I do? Now see that emotional statement. Sue asks Johnsy to think about her if she cannot care about herself. You have to think about Sue. That statement shows Johnsy has lost hope. So Sue uses emotional appeal. It also highlights their deep friendship and Sue's fear of being left alone, right? She is trying to encourage her that if you are not caring about yourself, you have to care about me. But Johnsy did not answer. Johnsy is in the same state of mind. She remains silent. This shows she is mentally withdrawn. She is not responding even to love and concern. And her silence is reflecting hopelessness and detachment. The most lonely thing in the world is a soul when it is preparing to go on its far journey. A very strong statement. This means a person feels completely alone when he is close to death. For journey, it is a soft way of referring to death. It is a journey. It shows emotional and spiritual isolation, right? That is very strong sentence that we can have, that the writer has produced. You can see his master class. The ties that held her to friendship and to earth were breaking one by one. Johnsy is slowly losing her connection to life, to people, and to hope. The word ties means relationships and attachment to the world. Their breaking shows she's giving up and moving closer to death. Now, let's move further. The day slowly passed. As it grew dark, they could still see the leaf hanging from its branch against the wall. And then, as the night came, the north wind began again to blow. The rain still beat against the windows. So, let me explain this whole paragraph. Now, time moves slowly. It shows tension and anxiety. The characters are waiting. They're worried about whether the last leaf will fall or not. Even as evening comes, the leaf is still there. The whole day it has not fallen. That is very strange. That is increasing our suspense, our anxiety. This creates surprise and hope because it has survived longer than expected. They're not expecting it. The leaf becomes a symbol of strength and endurance here. Then what happens? The wind starts again. That suggests danger, upcoming danger. The north wind is usually cold and harsh. That symbolizes threat and possible destruction. So this wind blowing also increases suspense and tension. And the rain the rain still beat against the windows. The continuous rain shows the storm, shows that the storm is strong and it is not going to end. It will continue, and that creates a gloomy and tense atmosphere in our minds, even in the minds of readers too. That makes it makes it simple. It makes it impossible for the leaf to survive. It is not possible that leaf will survive here. Now let's discuss different techniques used in this longer passage. We'll find symbolism. If you see, the leaf represents, it is symbolic. It represents life hope, and survival. As seen in there still was one leaf to be seen against the wall. Its survival is giving us a sense of hope despite harsh conditions. On the other hand, the falling leaves are also symbolizing. They are symbolizing death. They basically that reflects in Johnson's belief. That is reflected in his belief, in her belief. It will fall today, and I shall die at the same time. The storm, rain, and wind, they symbolize struggle and danger. They show how difficult it is to survive in such conditions. Then there's another technique, that is foreshadowing, that is used here. That foreshadowing is used to hint at future events. The lines, especially, they looked at each other for a moment without speaking. That line suggests that Sue and Berman silently understand something important. And it hints at Berman's later action. Similarly, a cold rain was falling with a little snow in it too, also foreshadows Berman's suffering and eventual sacrifice in the harsh weather, how he will sacrifice his life in that harsh weather to save someone else's life, to create his own masterpiece. You will also find imagery here. The writer is using vivid imagery to create clear pictures in the reader's mind, in our minds. For example, dark green near the branch, edges turning yellow. That is visual imagery that helps us imagine the leaf in detail. Leaf is described in detail. Weather imagery like beating rain, wild wind, cold rain, all these phrases create a gloomy and tense atmosphere. These words, these phrases reinforce the seriousness of the situation. Then we can also consider metaphor. Metaphor have been used here. Metaphor is basically here we see the deeper meaning with the help of metaphor. That is, we can find phrase here, far journey. That is a metaphor for death that makes the idea softer and more poetic. Similarly, ties were breaking. That represents Johnson's weakening connection to life, friendship, and hope. Then we can also see personification in this passage too. That personification is giving human qualities to non-human elements. If we see in the rain still beat against the windows. Here the rain is described as if it is actively striking the windows. This makes the storm feel more intense and threatening. We can also find irony here. Irony how? Irony is, we can find irony in the contrast between expectation and reality. Here the leaf is expected to fall due to the strong storm, but it does not. This is situational irony, as something unlikely happens. We are expecting, but it's not happening. And later, we learn that the leaf is actually a painting, not real. In the next passage, in the last part of the story, you will come to know about that. And see the dialogues here. They are creating emotional appeal. They're expressing emotions. They are helping us develop characters, establish what our characters are, especially Sue's words, dear Johnsy, and what would I do? A question. Both of them show her love, fear, and desperation. And we can see that with the help of dialogue, through dialogue, the writer Henry is revealing the emotional bond between the characters. Then we also find repetition as a technique. Dear Johnsy is used for emphasis. The repetition of dear is highlighting Sue's deep affection and urgency that makes her emotions more powerful and noticeable. And we can also find contrast. We have been finding contrast throughout the story. This passage, you can see in this passage, we see strong contrast between hope and despair that has been continued. Johnsy represents hopelessness with her belief that she will die as the leaf falls, right? While the leaf represents hope, by continue to hang on, it is not falling. The leaf is not falling. We are expecting that it will fall, but see, it is not falling. And it is giving us hope. It is taking us away from despair, right? Still, there is a chance. There's also contrast between action. Sue and Berman are trying to help, and inaction. Jones' silence and withdrawal. Both are contrasted. Two are trying to do certain thing to help, and the person who needs help is not responding. So there is a strong contrast. Then if you see the tone of the passage is mostly sad, tense, gloomy. That is created through the stormy weather and Jones's negative thoughts. However, the presence of the last leaf introduces a slight sense of hope, softening the overall mood. So it is again the combination of tense and gloomy. On the other side, it's hope. So the tone is again the combination of both. And we see different themes being developed here. All these themes are contributing to major themes such as hope versus hopelessness, the power of friendship, the power of sacrifice. The leaf becomes a symbol of hope here because it is the central, it has gained the central point in this paragraph, while Sue's care and Berman's actions highlight the importance of love and selflessness. Now, if you see the style of the passage, again, simple and clear language we can find. O. Henry has mastered it. He is using very simple sentence structures and common vocabulary that makes the story easy to understand. Anyone can understand the story without fussing. For example, the day slowly passed. Sue took the cover from the window. These are direct and uncomplicated sentences. There is no intricacy in them. But this simplicity helps focus attention on emotions and events rather than complex language. They give us deep meaning. Then see, the style is descriptive and visual. We find descriptions. We can create a picture in our mind about what we are about what we are reading. So we can say that it is highly descriptive, and especially when it presents nature and weather. Phrases like beating rain and a wild wind and dark green near the branch, they create strong visual images. This detailed description builds a vivid and realistic setting for the reader. Then we can also find emotional and psychological focus. This is a longer paragraph, longer passage. So obviously, explanation will also be longer. The style strongly highlights emotions such as fear, hope, despair. If you see Sue's dialogue, dear Johnsy, that dialogue shows emotional intensity, while Jonesy's silence reflects psychological withdrawal. Henry is focusing not only on physical events, but also on inner feelings. Your outer side and your inner side both are shown here. Then see, we also find symbolism in style, symbolic style, we can say. The writer, O. Henry, uses objects and situations to represent deeper meanings. Here in this paragraph, you can see the leaf, our center point. It becomes a symbol of hope and life, while the storm represents struggle and death. This symbolic style adds depth to the otherwise simple narrative. Then we can also find suspenseful and progressive structure. If you see, his writing style gradually builds suspense. We readers are kept waiting as the leaf survives through the storm, through the harsh weather. There still was one leaf to be seen. Even each event is leading slowly toward the climax, and that maintains tension throughout the passage. Then you see, it is in his style we find dialogue and narration going together. They are moving together. He mixes dialogue with narration in perfect manner. It creates impact. Dialogue like what would I do adds emotional depth, where narration provides atmosphere and description. This balance keeps the story engaging and expressive. Now let's analyze it critically. You can find in this passage human psychology and hopelessness. It is a central focus of the passage, and that is Jonesy's mental condition, her belief that she will die when the last leaf falls, shows how illness has affected her psychology. The line, I will fall today and I shall die at the same time, it will fall today and I shall die at the same time, reflects a complete loss of will to live. The writer critically presents how negative thinking can become self destructive. You consume yourself, and that turns imagination into a force stronger than physical illness. Then we also find a role of hope and friendship. Sue's contrast, Sue's constant emotional support highlights the importance of friendship in overcoming despair. Her plea, what would I do, shows that human connection is a vital source of strength. It provides you power. The analysis of the text shows that O. Henry suggests hope is sustained through relationships. Relationships can sustain hope. Isolation cannot do the same task. Sue represents care, loyalty, and emotional endurance against hopelessness of Jonsey. Then we can also see that the leaf is central symbol of the story. It represents life, it represents hope, it represents survival against all odds, and the storm represents the destruction and death. The fact that the leaf continues to survive despite harsh weather creates a strong symbolic conflict between life, hope, and death and despair. This symbolic structure elevates the story beyond a simple narrative into a moral lesson. Then you also find irony. Dramatic irony is created here where the reader and characters interpret reality differently. The irony also highlights the idea that art can become a life-saving reality that turns illusion into truth. Then see sacrifice and moral grandeur. Although not fully shown in this excerpt, we don't find complete glimpse of it. The passage is building us towards Berman's sacrifice. His willingness to face the storm, to paint the leaf, suggests selflessness. It shows that the story values self-sacrifice as the highest form of human goodness, where Berman achieves the masterpiece through saving another life. If you see in this story, that story uses a realistic setting. What are they? Poor artists, illness, harsh weather, all of them are reality. But this story elevates it through emotional and symbolic depth. This combination makes the story both believable and meaningful. The realism ensures relatability. We can relate ourselves to the story, while symbolism ensures lasting impact. Now, let us conclude it. If we see, this passage brings together the central ideas of hope, despair, friendship, and sacrifice in a simple but powerful way. Through the symbol of the last leaf, the writer shows how human life can be deeply influenced by belief and emotional support. This scene also highlights the importance of companionship, importance of friendship, about importance of relations, as Sue's care contrasts sharply with Johnson's hopelessness. The harsh weather and tense atmosphere further intensify the emotional conflict between life and death. So overall, we can consider accumulatively that our writer O. Henry successfully uses symbolism, irony, and emotional storytelling to deliver a strong moral message. Even in the darkest moments, hope and selfless love can save a life and give it meaning. I hope you have understood it. If you have any questions, you can ask me, you can write in comments, you can inbox me, but don't shy asking questions. Thank you for watching.